All right, so yes, finally, Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting an actual update. I've got some very good news about that, but also some bad news. We're going to dive into that here in just a moment. Plus, yes, some brand new leaks because developers have left some teases, some signs as to what we can potentially expect from maybe a map expansion, new areas to explore, some really cool stuff. We'll dive into that. And also some opinions from the community about Dragon's Dogma 2 as it stands right now. But let's get into this brand new update, heading to the source, the Dragon's Dogma 2 official Twitter, or X. Now it says, to all Dragon's Dogma 2 players, we have an update planned this month with the following adjustments and fixes. We will release them on each platform as soon as they are ready. Thank you for your patience and support. We read here, we have PlayStation and Xbox and Steam. They say they're going to be reducing the infection frequency of Dragon's Plague and adjusting the signs of pawns infected with Dragon's Plague to be more noticeable. For example, when infected, glowing eyes will be more noticeable. So it seems like they might be kind of like nerfing this, I guess you would say. Now they're going to be adding the option to zoom in on the faces of the arisen and pawns in the status screen, shops, etc., fixing some issues and implementing adjustments related to the minimap as well. Now treasure chests that have already been acquired won't be displayed on the minimap, so that's nice. You won't get all confused there. Adjustments to pawns' behavior and dialogue, fixing issues where occasionally the player couldn't high-five pawns. Yeah, that's like such a bummer when you miss out on those high fives. And, you know, one of the things that I found to be a pain in the butt is when pawns would offer their help to guide you around the world, and then they would just stop. Well, guess what? It goes on to say that they're going to be adjusting that as well. And they're going to be making pawns less likely to fall off cliffs. Because usually what I do is I say, wait there, don't you dare move, or I'm going to be pissed if you fall off this cliff. It seems like they're going to be adjusting that. I'll test this all out, by the way, and make a video. And then reducing the frequency of some pawn dialogue lines, improving pawn lines to better match circumstances, fixing some issues where pawns stop speaking outside of combat, and then also addressing issues where the main pawn speaks support pawns dialogue, and then making pawns more likely to aid the Risen if the Risen commands them to help while being held by enemies. I've had literal complaints when I am asking for help. The pawn will be like, make up your mind. And I'm like, get the hell over here. Then it says reducing the frequency of pawns offering to be hired by the player while in the field. And then they're going to address issues where sometimes escort quests are considered failed when accessing character edit or other specific situations. And then addressing issues where the player could be jailed when fighting monsters in town. And then addressing some crashes, freezes, and miscellaneous bug fixes and that sort of thing. But you will notice something that is quite a bummer about this update, that something is completely missing. There's no mention whatsoever of a performance mode in development right now. So yeah, it'd be nice to hear from Capcom, you know, if they could tell us, hey, we are going to be making a performance mode. It's interesting though. I've been playing Final Fantasy Rebirth. I don't know if any of you guys have checked it out. Highly recommend it if you've missed out on the Final Fantasy VII games recently. Regarding the performance mode, that game does have a performance mode. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth does. And I do not use it. I use the fidelity mode. And a lot of people actually prefer that fidelity mode, which is so strange. Usually I go straight for the performance mode. But when you get into performance mode, sometimes it gets super blurry. So I'm wondering if they were to develop the performance mode, if it's just going to make the game blurry. That's my biggest worry when we talk about performance mode stuff. Yeah, but anyway, let me know how it's running for you, if a performance mode is a big deal or not. Sound off in the comments down below. But still, I think it's nice to have that as an option because I know people also say they prefer the 60 frames, even though it's a little blurry. All right, so next up, yes, let's talk about the leaks because this video right here is very interesting. It comes from The Rift, and it talks about some discoveries within the game. Check out his video in the description below. But yes, there's some areas he used with free cam to actually get access to. Here is this sealed off door, as you could see right here, and use the free cam to get behind it, and we have the Rift symbol. Now, that's not by accident. That's definitely, in my opinion, some form of Easter egg. In fact, if you go beyond that Rift symbol, there is an underdeveloped, I guess you would say, space here that looks like it could be, what they're saying could be like a Great Hall or some sort of explorable area that could potentially be added to the game. Now, also, you got to remember that some of these assets could just be leftovers, that they're like, we just don't have time and they never get to it. But knowing the history of Dragon's Dogma as a franchise, yes, they do love to expand the map. In the case of Dark Arisen, that's exactly what they did. And we have more signs that this area will open up because they even have a campfire just outside of it, which is telling me, hey, here's a rest spot before you take on this area. Now, moving on from that, we also have signs of perhaps the fact that we might be getting some sort of new island to explore. This is a fully textured island. It's not like fully realized, I wouldn't say that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I don't want to like give too much hope about this stuff, but again, there's good signs, good indication that yes, they would be very, very interested in expanding this game based on the history. Now, I have a question for you all that are currently playing the game, or maybe you aren't. High-level players, what's keeping you occupied currently with this game? There's a lot of different opinions within this thread. I found it really fascinating because I myself, I like goofing around with the different vocations currently. That's really where I'm at right now, and I have found my core vocations, of course. I really like the fighter. There's something about the fighter that I've really, really been enjoying lately. But also, there's been people that are struggling with the end game, with this game keeping their attention. For example, right here, we have this says, My Gamer's Dilemma with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm bouncing back and forth between both of these games. I definitely do find Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to be more heavy in story, more engaging in that manner. And I wish that this franchise would tap into that a little bit more. So yeah, beyond like the current updates that they're doing, I really hope that they consider for the future of this franchise taking some feedback with certain side quests, escort missions, really fleshing those out more in the future. That's what I'm hoping for. Developing more story around a lot of the side activities and missions. And yes, there is that in the game. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like there needs to be more. But what you're seeing here, the combat is just so damn good in this game. And the monster designs, the open world, I love this game overall. But I think they could just push it to 11, if they were just to tap into more of a story, more of what like Ghost of Tsushima does. That's just my opinion. But yeah, right now, currently bouncing back and forth between Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and this. Also, mentioning Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm going to say it again and again. Check it out if you haven't already. You're doing yourself a huge disservice if you're just skipping that game. For me right now, I went through Final Fantasy VII Remake more recently to prepare for Rebirth, and there's something about this franchise I am enjoying the hell out of Rebirth right now. All right, so now it's time to get into your top comments. So let's see what you guys had to say about my most recent Dragon's Dogma 2 video. Let's check it out. We have Tony, who says this right here. All I need is an endless dungeon like Bitter Black Isle. It was my favorite part of the first game. Yeah, something like that I would assume would be coming to this game. Maybe they could push it even further than the first game, than Dark Arisen. Now, also, we have this right here. The rumor sounds more like fanfic than anything, started by the name Dragon Princess. Totally agree. Female risen and another dragon in special. The last part goes against the attended lore that states several times only a single dragon can exist, at a time. Yeah, I think a lot of that leak that I previously covered was BS, but there is a silver lining there that you can tap into the things that would potentially be true based, again, on patterns and history from Capcom. Now, also, we have Michael Napper, who says this right here. I'm almost 70 hours into Dragon's Dogma 2, and I haven't even seen the bottom right corner of the map yet. I'm taking my time with this one. I only get to play for the first time once, and I'm making the most of it. The exploration combat is fantastic. The world is just packed with cool loot, enemies to find. It really does feel like an adventure. Thank you, Capcom. 121 upvotes. So yeah, seems like people are overall enjoying this game, and I think it has been, for the most part, a big success, which honestly I'm thrilled by because I loved the first game, and I never ever thought we would see a Dragon's Dogma 2. I just thought it was never going to happen based on the sales of the first game. So kudos to Capcom for believing in this one and giving it a second chance. So yes, there it is, the latest happenings around Dragon's Dogma 2. I promise to keep you guys up to date on all things regarding this one, and also, yes, open world gaming goodness. Look out, some really cool stuff coming up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.